Elon, a year ago, right now, you were praised by the media. You were championed by the left. Most people in general had a very positive view of you. And a year later...
Wait, has that changed?
Yeah, it's changed a little.
What?
So tell me what the last year's been like for you.
Well, it's not been boring, that's for sure. An eventful year, to say the least. At least I didn't get shot, you know. Look on the bright side. But we have had people shoot up Tesla stores and burn down Tesla cars. I wasn't expecting that level of violence, really. I mean, there's obviously been attempts to sort of boycott Tesla and my other companies and basically put whatever pressure they possibly can on me and Tesla and to some degree my other companies. And I guess that's what happens when you go after waste and fraud, because the people that are receiving the billions of dollars of waste and fraud want to keep receiving it. The people doing the bad things want to keep getting the money. And you're necessarily dealing with an unsavory group that is, since they're doing illegal things already and we're stopping them from doing illegal things, obviously they're going to do bad things to me and to my companies. Somewhat inevitable, I think.
Do you regret doing what you've been doing? Do you regret coming out and supporting President Trump?
Yes, no. Cut that part.
I hope not.
No, I think it was essential for President Trump to win to ensure that America remained great, and that we reached greater heights. Really, some very basic things need to happen. We need to have, obviously, a secure border. We need to have safe cities. We need to have sensible spending. I think if President Trump had not won, I think the Democrat campaign to import vast numbers of illegal voters would have succeeded. And they would have naturalized vast numbers of illegals during the sort of Kamala regime. And they would have turned America into a one-party state from which we could never escape. Some people out there may be somewhat skeptical. They may think, well, that there isn't some Democrat plan to subvert democracy and achieve a permanent one-party, deep blue socialist state. I assure you, the more you research it, the more you will see it is true. Biden was simply asleep at the switch. He was ineffective regarding illegal immigration. No, he was highly effective at ushering in millions of illegal immigrants with a specific game plan to naturalize them and ensure that there would be no swing states in America anymore. Often the margin of victory there will be 20 or 30,000 votes. So if you bring in 200,000 illegals, which will overwhelmingly vote for the Democrats, then that swing state becomes permanently blue. Then you have the House, the Senate, the presidency.
When did Elon Musk finally say, you know what, I feel like something is really grossly wrong with what's going on in this country?
Well, I started having concerns about 3 years ago, but they were sort of, I just had like an uneasy feeling. Something doesn't feel right here. The censorship was becoming ridiculous. I had the most interacted with account on Twitter before the acquisition. So I was very finely attuned to what the algorithm was showing me or not showing me, and who got suspended or didn't get suspended. Twitter was being run at a very far left basis. When I felt the censorship walls closing in, I was like, okay, I gotta do something, and the thing I can do is acquire Twitter and make it a bastion of free speech. And that's what we're trying to do with Twitter. Like, no one on the left has been suspended, but we did unsuspend people on the right. And let the marketplace of ideas win. And then once we unlocked Twitter from being censored, then we started to see what was really going on. And I became increasingly concerned. I'm like, wait a second, I'm seeing videos of people streaming across the border on Twitter, now X. I'm like, and I was like, is this real? So I said, well, I'll go to the border myself. So I went to Eagle Pass, Texas, and sure enough, people streaming across the border. And I was like, so is there any vetting of these people? Like, no, the Biden administration is letting them all in. And I said, well, but some of these people clearly have criminal affiliations. Like they literally have the criminal affiliation tattooed on their face. The left is kind to the criminals and cruel to the victims, which is not empathy at the end of the day. If you're a high trust society and you bring in low trust or untrustworthy individuals, that's now you've got a fundamental breakdown in the system.
Recipe for disaster.
A recipe for disaster.
So it sounds like for you, you went through these moments of actually seeing things firsthand for yourself. So you had these moments leading up to really coming out on the stage October in Butler, Pennsylvania with President Trump.
You just can't have a country like this. I supported Obama. I gave the maximum donation to Obama. Actually, we had a pretty good relationship. When Biden was elected out, I guess most moderates that I knew, they thought it would be like a milquetoast version of Obama. And then it's like, we get the most radical left, crazy administration ever. With and Biden is actually non-compos mentis. President Autopen, basically. Biden was President Autopen. Whoever controlled it, Autopen, the teleprompter during the Biden administration, was the real president. If a reasonable person who's open-minded was exposed to the same information that I was exposed to, they would end up at the same place that I ended up.
You grew up in South Africa. You lived during a period of apartheid. I'm sure you've seen a lot of horrific things. So to be called a Nazi by people, to be made out to be this monster, that must be really hard for you.
It's a relentless propaganda campaign, which obviously President Trump has experienced for a very long time, 20 years, maybe longer. And politics is a blood sport. So they're going to come up with whatever attacks they can to destroy the public perception of someone. Now, obviously, I've not harmed anyone in my life. They've also called President Trump a Nazi, but he also is not a violent person, and in fact has done a lot to prevent wars and stop wars. Which is the very opposite of being a Nazi, actually.
Right. Ironic how that works out.
Yes, but it is disappointing how well propaganda works.
Yeah.
If you repeat a lie, the sort of he's a Nazi lie enough times, some people actually believe it. Especially people that still believe the legacy news. But they really are trying every angle to get me. They are doing character assassination.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
It shows that if what we were doing at DOGE was not effective, they wouldn't care. But it is effective, and that's why they're trying every angle to put pressure on me and DOGE to stop fixing the government.
Talk about your relationship with President Trump. You came to DC. People immediately said, oh wait, Elon Musk is in charge of things here. Very clearly, President Trump is.
I do consider the president a friend. I think he considers me a friend, and we get along very well. I think probably if you asked us both the same set of questions in two different rooms, 80% of the time we'd come up with the same answer. Which is not to say that we always agree, but we almost always agree. Getting rid of waste and fraud in the government. And ensuring the rule of law is followed. We've seen just crazy things like the 20 million dead people in the Social Security database marked as alive, many of whom were receiving benefits. One person was 360 years old.
Wow, older than the country.
I think that would be a bit of a red flag, They're older than America. We found people receiving unemployment insurance with a birth date in the future. We found at the Small Business Administration that they're giving out loans to people as young as 9 months. So we're stopping things like that. We've actually found there's a lot of people who are federal government employees, they're active employees who nonetheless applied for and have received unemployment insurance.
While they're federal employees?
Yes.
Wow.
And this appears to be at least 100,000 people.
Wow. We know that you're finding all of this, but you're actually also simultaneously running several companies. What else are you doing, and how are you doing it, and where are you doing it? Are you sleeping? Are you traveling all the time?
This is a very difficult, that's why I made that sort of I'm wearing many hats joke. The cabinet was given the Gulf of America hat, I believe it was. So you see all the hats there, and then I happen to have a DOGE hat. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll put a hat on a hat and prove to people that I'm wearing more.
You really are.
I am wearing more than one hat. Even my hat has a hat. So it requires intense effort for, like I said, for about 3 months, which we're kind of at the 3-month point now. And then I can taper my time allocation, but still get things done. So, and I've talked this over with the president, so this is no surprise, or it's
Well, if anyone knows about multitasking and getting a lot done, it's him.
Absolutely. He's very good at multitasking and getting a lot done in many different arenas. I also still have my little office, my cute little office in the West Wing, by the way. It's like comically small. People have taken photos of it and stuff. But I wanted it to be tiny. And even this office I use, but it's also used for meetings and stuff. So I try not to, use up a lot of space. In fact, I usually don't even have at my companies, I don't even have an office. I just walk around, talk to people, and have meetings.
That's how you know what's going on.
Yes, that's how you know what's going on.
Now, very famously, there was a story about you when you first came to DC that you slept on a couch in your office. This is where the richest man in the world slept.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Why did you do that?
Well, I didn't really have a good place to stay at the time.
Wow. How long did you do that?
For off and on for a few weeks.
That's incredible.
Yeah, there are worse places to sleep.